Hello UJ family, can you believe it? We are on our 50th episode on the Campus Live. I just wanted to say thank you so much for the love and support. To all our guests that have graced us with their presence, keep shining and raising the orange flag high. From myself, the host of the Campus Live, I love you so much and see you on our 100th episode. Mwah. My name is Sally Sithole and welcome to another great episode of the Campus Live. Aimed at enhancing democracy and helping to amplify the voices of citizens. Higher Education Media Services, in association with the Democracy Works Foundation and the UJ Library, hosted a discussion on the future of South Africa that we want and deserve.
Welcome for those online and those physically present. I think the timing of this conversation is really perfect timing, and I know initially the conversation was supposed to happen before the elections, but I think really has worked out post-election. It's been a surprise, the outcome, and I think we are potentially, we have a moment, a real moment of potential change, and we all will have to take that moment. Often, individuals and countries don't often get the opportunity and moments to make dramatic change, and I think the importance is always in that moment to grasp, to understand that this is a moment of potential change.
I'm going to respond to the accountability question that we don't get those who are elected or appointed to account to the people they serve. And I think this is the biggest problem, because what has been coming up during elections is that not only you have 5 years, and then at the end of the 5 years you hold people accountable through the vote. That's what has been in the media, because that's what politicians say. But I do think that we actually need to create platforms, and one of those it's availability of political leaders to the public, because it's not happening. And being in the media, I know that we have tried several times to engage with the president or someone at that level, in the sense of, can you please avail yourself and account to the public? You are not accounting to the media, you are accounting to the public, but through the media. And I don't recall the last time it has happened that you would have a sit-down conversation, extensive engagement with the president, and that applies to others who are at that level, who are supposed to be accounting to the public. The public does want to, they do want to hold those in power, but they're not available to the public. And I do think that there's got to be a different mechanism to get those in power to account during their term, and not just at the end when we have to vote for them, vote them out, or vote them in.
This was a very exciting event. South Africa has we're in a moment, a once in a lifetime moment in the country to reboot a country. to reimagine the country. I mean, the Government of National Unity offers us that opportunity. And this event is part of civil society coming together and beginning to think in terms of how can we reimagine South Africa. I mean, our country is in a systemic crisis. I mean, we've got a 42,000 unemployment level, which is the highest level, unemployment level of any emerging market. We've got rule of law has broken down in our country. 80 people a day get murdered. That's the highest outside a war zone. In any country, when any of those things happen, a government falls. So now we have an opportunity to say, how do we change all of this? How do we create jobs for people who are unemployed? How do we make our country safer? And how do we look after every South African? How do we not leave out a South African? How do we tackle mass homelessness? And we need new ideas, new ways of thinking, and new people to come and contribute to rethink what the South Africa that we want.
I fear that in our attempt to impose unity from above, we are consciously or unconsciously silencing voices of dissent that raised their heads in this election. And we are trying to create a situation in which criticism of the government means criticism of the nation. Whereas the government has its own agenda which we must remain skeptical of, and it may be trying to co-opt us into this project of unity while it just does the same things it's always been doing over time. And that's why I reject the idea of a government of national unity. I don't think that's what this is. I think this is a multi-party coalition comprised of lots of different forces with its own agenda that needs to be treated as any other government, not some kind of special government that doesn't deserve criticism or opprobrium. I also don't think this government is representative enough, A, of the electorate or of the non-electorate, to claim the mantle of national unity. It represents around 75% of the electorate, and that is a normal governing coalition in many different countries. Governments of national unity typically represent 90, sometimes 95. Our one in 94 represented 92% of the electorate. So I'm skeptical about the move to present the current moment as a moment of unity when I think it's a moment that calls for soul-searching and accountability more than it does unity. So having said that, where to in the future then? Again, I have seriously mixed feelings. On the one hand, I cannot wait, and I think moments like this are wonderful for us to engage in meaningful debate about what should we do in the future. And I think that there's a window of opportunity open now for us to have a real conversation and a debate about what is wrong in our country and how we can take steps to fix it. So I'm profoundly excited by that prospect. But I'm also worried that, again, we might pretend to have a debate where we're actually not having a real debate, and that there aren't different sides of that debate clashing, that everyone is agreeing, that we all agree the government's doing the right thing, we all agree the Constitution is perfect, we all agree that the economy, we can tinker with it here or there, and the rest and everyone outside of that echo chamber is an anti-constitutionalist, anti-marketist loon. If we are going to have a debate as a country, then let's have a debate. And let's not exclude people from the debate on the basis of branding them as outside of rational public opinion. If we're going to have a true debate about the country, then the things that we have taken for granted have to be on the table of that debate and of that national dialogue. And my worry is that I think there's also a certain intergenerational disunity that's being masked in this moment. Because an older generation always goes to the same strategy. There's a crisis. So what do we need to do? Let's talk. Let's find a table and let's talk about things. And that strategy may have worked at certain times, but I'm not convinced that's the strategy for now. I'm convinced the strategy for now is, let's act. Let's act decisively. We just had a national dialogue that was an election. We've had umpteen national dialogues. We need a decisive government to actually do things now, and I'm worried that this attempt to build consensus is going to do the exact opposite. It's going to create an indecisive government that's locked in talks, and before this government has been able to do anything, people will have lost patience with the talks, and we won't have actually seen anything different happening. So if we are going to have a dialogue, or maybe even better, a national debate, I think we do have to talk about the Constitution. I think processes of constitutional reform are the lifeblood of healthy democracies. I think we do have to talk about the economy and how we can't go on with the status quo, and how tinkering with the status quo could come back to haunt us. So to conclude, then, I think the experience of Kenya is quite interesting right now, because we see that there is tremendous protest on the streets against the entire Kenyan political elite at this moment. And interestingly, Kenya has just come from a government of national unity, which emerged after 2008, where there was electoral violence. And what did the Kenyan political elite do? They said, let's talk, let's come together, everyone gets a seat, and we all pretend like we're united. And we don't address the root issues. We paper over those cracks with a semblance of political unity. And that might last for a while. That might hold us until another election or another 7 years. But at some point, you have to grapple with the issues, and you have to directly approach them. And so what we don't want to end up is a situation where 5 or 10 years after this government of national unity, we have massive protests in the streets, as are being seen in Kenya now, because the government of national unity did not address the true issues of the nation, but it simply united political elites in a pact of fake or superficial unity. The reason I say this is just not to be negative. And I do worry that I often come across as negative, but I do believe that part of this dialogue has to be someone saying something different, and someone bringing a critical sensibility to where we are now. And I completely appreciate that in addition to that critical sensibility, there have to be voices that say, hey, this is a good thing. We need this, we should support this. But unless we actually enter into a conversation about the dangers of this moment and the moments of hope that we experience, then I worry that what could be a dialogue will descend into a bubble. Thank you.
UJ hosted a mini open day event in June at its Auckland Park Kingsway Campus. This annual event is a key part of the UJ's recruitment strategy, designed to provide prospective students and their families with an in-depth look at why the university is a leading choice for higher education in South Africa.
Good day, my name is Leonie Michaels and I'm from the University of Johannesburg, the Department of Student Marketing. Today we are hosting the first of a 2-day mini open day for grade 12s, where we would like to share valuable information with the learners in terms of the university's offerings for their further studies. We have 7 faculties and 1 College of Business and Economics, and they are all exhibiting here today with staff who are ready to answer questions from educators, from learners, as well as from parents. We also have other departments such as residences, sport and psych-ed who are ready to assist students so that they can make that all-important decision in terms of their further studies.
I'm going to talk about some administrative stuff and more practical stuff, but I'll keep it as short as possible. My name's Gerard Kotze. I've been with the university for about almost 20 years now, and 15 of those 20 years I've spent at the Student Enrollment Center. And Almeri is joining me here today, and our registrar is also here. So, important thing, we've got a presence on all 4 campuses. So, if you live close to Soweto or Doornfontein or wherever, and you need assistance with your application, you can go there. We've got people there that can help you apply. Even today, if you want to, you can pop into our offices. We can assist you in applying, or if you've got other queries about applications you've already made. Then we've got the contact center where you can call our call center. They can assist you with inquiries, or if you walk in the contact centers there to assist you. And also have a look at, ask them about our WhatsApp functionality and our chatbot on the web. If you go into the chatbot, there's WhatsApp numbers, and you can interact with that via that as well. Then the selections office, they're responsible for receiving applications, doing admissions, which I'm going to talk about quickly now. And then our biographics division, they're responsible for the data, your biographical data, and indexing of documents and things like that you will send in.
UJ is by far the best choice, so make sure you get your application in on time. That's the end of this episode. Goodbye.